This is Jerry Beck from CartoonBrew.com, and we're looking today at Target SNAFU, which was released in October 1944 in Army-Navy Screen Magazine number 38. And this is one of the cartoons that was created to show the necessity of using malaria prevention techniques. And of course there were two others, SNAFU versus Malaria Mike and It's Murder, She Says. This cartoon is unusual because Mel Blanc really isn't in it. They use a stock sound effect of him screaming at the end. The only voice in it is Robert C. Bruce, a regular narrator. This first scene where the mosquito sergeant pulls away this romantic draftee was a replacement for a sequence that was originally in the boards that showed a young mosquito draftee with children pleading for a deferment from his draft board. And the feeling was that this could bother some of the men in the service, so it was replaced with a sequence with the mosquito sergeant breaking up the romantic parting moment between a mosquito draftee and his girlfriend. This cartoon, of course, was completely redone in color and used as a regular release, general public release, as a Merry Melodies cartoon of The I Sting. The writer credit of that film is Michael Maltese, and it leads me to wonder if he wrote the additional gags or if he actually was involved with the original SNAFU cartoon. And this is, I think, the only SNAFU cartoon where they used the actual animation over again for a regular Merry Melodies release. They did reuse gags that were created for SNAFU in other cartoons, but never wholesale, the animation drawings. Of the I Sting was released in 1946, and that was a year that just a few cartoons came out under Freeling's name. Another one that year was Holiday for Shoestrings, which also used a lot of stock footage. Makes me wonder, maybe was Freeling working on the animation sequence from Two Guys from Texas or something? I mean, there was some reason why he's hardly represented in 1946's releases.
Full-fledged fighter pilots, ready for action. Very discouraging.
It's interesting that of The I Sting is a very similar cartoon to a Columbia Screen Gems cartoon called The Way of All Pests, which features both of that, Way of All Pests and of The I Sting, both feature a heavyset bald man who looks a little bit like animator Art Davis, who worked, I think, on both cartoons, so you can draw your own conclusions from that. The script for Target SNAFU, as all the private SNAFU cartoons, was reviewed by the Army, and in this case, the Army's Preventative Medicine Service. And the chief of that group gave notes that would more accurately point out how the insects avoid protective measures. The note reads, "Omit pools of oil and repellent, since this is not the method of action of these substances. Substitute aerosol bombs for flit guns. Fumes, if identified, should be called insecticide rather than repellent." Those are some of the actual notes from the Army's Preventative Medicine Service for this particular cartoon. Very military. Private SNAFU, of course, appears at the end of the cartoon in the buff, and they had no problem showing SNAFU naked in many of these cartoons, and having naked women, having all sorts of language. These were never meant to be shown to the general public. They were just for the soldiers, and so they didn't have any of the same restrictions that Hollywood's films did. And it ends with a bang.